Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Growing Kentucky's Leaders podcast. I am one of your hosts, Sheldon McKinney.
And I'm your other host, Ruth Fink.
And today we are celebrating a brand new year and a year of the Growing Kentucky's Leaders podcast. Can you believe it, Ruth Ann?
I really cannot believe it. It has flown by, but it's been really fun.
It has been so fun. This was just an idea that we had. It has now borne over 50 conversations recorded about people's lives in Kentucky FFA, the impact the foundation's had on them. And we've had some great conversations that I'm so glad we have recorded.
Yeah. I hope people take some time to look back on those like top moments that we shared. There's so many good moments. It was impossible to narrow it down to 10. But we've had some really unique conversations with a lot of different people in the ag industry, and those two recaps encapsulate it well.
Yeah. We've also learned a lot about podcasting this year. I would say that
Yes.
too. We got our mics from Amazon and started going, but I hope our conversations have gotten better as this year has went on. I think we've gotten to be better hosts and can keep growing into that. And I've just enjoyed it so much and looking forward to another year ahead. But for all of y'all listening today, we decided to check in with each other a year in. And we thought of our three final questions that we ask every guest. We thought of those last year. We started our first episode by sharing those with you and sharing our answers. And we thought we would start this new year by having a checkup and a check in and see where we are with those responses at this time. Yeah.
So we've kind of evolved, Sheldon. I think let's kick it off with you and see how your leadership advice, that best piece of leadership advice you've been given. You shared with us a great nugget this time last year, but what comes to mind this year? What is that leadership advice that you want to share out?
Last year I shared to surround yourself with talented people you trust and like being around. That is still a pillar of building a team. But this year, this podcast has helped shape leadership advice that I'm walking in. And it was really this talk with Cody back, and you have shared this, but this walking in humble confidence and what does it mean to embody humble confidence as a leader in the spaces that you go in. And if you've listened to our podcast, you've heard that a lot this year, but it's something that is just sitting with me. And I'm trying to walk in humble confidence in better. Yeah. What about you? Best leadership advice?
Yeah, last year I shared a piece of advice about, if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. And that is something that is always true. I'm a very type A person when it comes to my work professionally. So I keep that top of mind. What I wanted to share on this episode, though, was from a book that I read with like a group of other women in our little like book club that we have. And it's a book by John Mark Comer called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it is the single most book that has really changed my work style, my personal life, and how I just build out my own time. And in the beginning of that book, the author, he just says, like, we're our worst selves when we're in a hurry. And that was a really humbling thought when I read that, because I had like immediate flashbacks of all the times I was in a hurry and how I might have been like short-tongued with other people around me, or I wasn't planned correct. I did not plan correctly for the event that I was going to. Anytime I'm in a hurry, we're just not our best selves. And so what does it look like to slow down? He talks about when you're at the grocery store, getting in the checkout line. That's the longest, which that's a hard one for me to do, but it gives you time to just force a slowdown. And so that's something I try to remember. I will not say I execute like well on the daily. Sometimes life happens and you just are in a hurry. But that is so true. When we're in a hurry, we're our worst selves. So it's a constant reminder of how can we slow down so we can be our best for the people around us and for ourselves.
Man, that's very true. I think I need to read that book.
It is so good. I think someone
Yeah.
on our podcast, I wish I could remember who, but they shouted out that book on our podcast before. It's a really good read.
Yeah.
It's a hard read because you're like, oh,
Sure.
that's good advice, but man, how will I do it? But
I
it's
know. I'm always in a hurry. That's something I can certainly work on.
yeah.
Okay. Well, our next question we always ask is talk about philanthropy. The foundation is the philanthropy, all about giving back your time, talent, and treasure. And we give our guests the opportunity to shout out somebody who's really poured into them and been pivotal in their journey. So who would you like to recognize, Ruth Ann?
Yeah, I always giggle at our guests sometimes because they're like, I have 6 people I'd like to shout out. And it is so hard to narrow it down to one, but I felt that on a personal level when we were asking ourselves this because I am lucky. I have so many people in my corner that cheer me on and are great mentors in my personal and professional life. And I think the one person that kind of hits all of those categories, and this might be kind of cheesy and lame, but it's really my husband, Stefan, is he is the person that is always cheering me on. I recently competed in a contest, which if you're,
Yeah.
in your professional life and you're kind of out of like that contest stage, that season that you're in, it's a funny
Mhm.
thing to get back into. But I joked that he was my sideline coach, but he also helps cook dinner at night after being on the farm. And we had a sheep sale last night, and I heard him on the phone say, "Well, I didn't want to sell that one ewe because that's the one my wife loves, and it gets her in the barn every night." So it's just like the little things that he does make me a better person, and we learn from each other, and it's just true
Mhm.
partnership. And so that has been, my one constant person that I want to shout out that I know is going to cheer me on, but also hold me accountable in a really loving way. Sometimes accountability isn't always loving. So
Yeah.
he does a great job with that, and being partners with him is so wonderful. Yeah. So that might
That's
be lame and cheesy and
sweet.
cheating to use a family member, but it is so true.
Right. Not lame at all. Very sweet and dreamy. Mine
But we
is
want to
not
hear
my husband.
yours. Who is
Sorry,
your
Bradley. I was going to um, share a cheerleader this year that I think back, who's been a cheerleader of mine for a few years, but definitely for our work for FFA, is our board chairman, Mr. Nick Carter.
Yeah.
And I think about Nick so much. He had this great lucrative career in the coal industry. He retired and he connected to Kentucky FFA. Really, he came back to us kind of by happenstance. And
Hmm.
I had no idea he was a past state FFA officer. The difference he's made has just been so incredible. And I can't count all the ways. But a significant way for me is that this year, he is the very first one to listen to our podcast every Monday morning. And he
Hmm.
always sends me a text and says, love the episode, great conversation, and has just encouraged me so many ways to grow. But just to go, your work matters. We see you, we're working hard, and it's so appreciated. So I
Yeah,
want
he's
to shout
such
out
a
to
thoughtful
Nick.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of it's not my favorite question because there's so many like warm, fuzzy feelings that come from the shout outs and the best piece of leadership advice. But man, I do look forward to hearing what people have to say to our third question, which is just what's something you're loving right now that's helping you grow? So it's time, Sheldon. What is something you're loving now, a year later, that's helping you grow?
Well, I think about this year and reflect on things that have helped me grow. And one of those things is that I worked to get a certificate called the Certificate in Certified Fundraising Executive. Excuse me. It's called CFRE, but it had been a combination of work experience, classes you took, and then you have to take this exam. It's been a long time since I've taken an exam, so I was kind of anxious, but I didn't pass that. And that helped me grow professionally. And I think I got to take a class in Indianapolis to help prepare for that. And I've been in this career for a long time, but it helped me talk them and identify some things to make human resources better, to make me a better manager of a team, a better manager of a nonprofit and finances. And some of those things like following rules and policy and procedures, that's not my natural strength at all. I've struggled to do that. I'm kind of like a big idea and I think in feelings and colors, not policy. And this has helped me because I know that if I don't do a good job here, the foundation can't grow long term. And so I've been stretched this year by that. And it has I hope that our team will benefit and all of Kentucky FA will benefit for trying to grow in those places that sometimes don't come easy. And it's been a while since I've had to really kind of work at something that wasn't easy or natural. And that's something that happened this year.
Good professional development is so worth it. I think we've all been a part of probably not good professional development,
Mhm.
but you have really helped mentor me in this field of fundraising of here are some
Yeah.
resources that are really useful and good. And yeah, the foundation will be better because of it.
Yeah, I think so. What about you, Ruth Ann? What's something you're loving that's helping you grow?
Well, this is not as profound by any
Sure.
means, but it is a tool that I use daily and it does help me in all aspects of my life. And it is simply my Google Calendar. And I mentioned this already. I'm pretty type A about organizing and my daily schedules. But I keep separate Google calendars for my personal life and then work. And it is just made my schedule so seamless and I can overlap the two so I can schedule appointments. And if my husband and I schedule dinner with friends, we can add it on there. And then, it just makes things a lot easier for people who live really busy lives. And you and I can share a calendar and see what that looks like. It has just been a really great tool for me. I used to be a planner person and I would not
Yeah.
go anywhere without my planner. It was color coded and had all the details. And
Mhm.
this has helped me take that step away and I can just keep it on my phone and as I'm on phone calls and I need to add things. It is a quick, easy step that's always with me. And I don't have to worry about leaving my planner in my car. So
Yeah.
not
Well,
as profound, but a useful
you
tool.
it has been profound. You've helped me grow by going, hey, we're going to use a Google Calendar so I can see your schedule. And it does help. It really helps with our team, with our management. It's, again, I struggle with the rules and the policy. So, but it's a challenge and it's good and it has helped us grow. Maybe one day I'll figure out how to have two calendars so you don't see like all my kids'
One thing
basketball
at a
games.
time. Yeah, one thing at a time. It's okay.
Yeah, good.
But once you figure out the overlapping, man, that is a game
Yeah,
changer because you can keep it separate. But
yeah,
I do love my Google Calendar for
yeah.
sure.
But what a fun year of getting to ask
Yeah.
people these questions and hearing answers from exercise, yoga, books, gadgets. It's been
Yes.
fun to celebrate these three questions with all of our guests.
Yeah, and we have exciting news. We are changing it up in 2025.
Yeah.
So we're going to be asking a new set of three questions to all of our guests that come on the podcast in 2025. And we want to reveal those now and kind of explain them and answer them ourselves. Instead, we're not going to ask any of our guests to do something we wouldn't do ourselves. So
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
newest questions, why don't you share the first one, Sheldon?
Sure. So we wanted to ask a question that still gets to the heart of leadership. And so now we're going to say, what keeps you motivated as a leader?
Mm-hmm.
And we hope what people answer is what is their intrinsic motivation or external that keeps them on this journey and to keep growing. So you're the first one up, Ruth Ann. What keeps you motivated as a leader?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this, this is kind of like a three-step part for me. What keeps me motivated as a leader, is being creative. I find a lot of joy in my work and in leadership when I am able to be creative. And being creative comes with some risk. It doesn't always work out. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like in the professional world, you might try something and it might not work, but having the permission to be creative, excites me. And
Mhm.
then it doesn't just stop there. What keeps me motivated is you have to reflect on that. If it did not work, why did it not work? If it did work, what made it successful? And then finally, the part that really keeps me motivated is seeing the change from that. So it's kind of like a three-part step there. But when you see change in your work because of an idea that you and a teammate might have had together, and you can fine tune it to where it really makes a system better and you can see change, like that is so motivating to me and it makes you want to do more of that. But what about you? What keeps you motivated as a
We
leader?
have certainly benefited from your creativity in so many ways. And so, gosh, this question kind of challenged me. I think that for me, problem solving keeps
Mm.
me motivated as a leader and not technical problem solving, really, but big ideas. I'm a big idea person. And so when we talk about, hey, we have got a teacher, agriculture teacher recruitment and retention problem. I love going, what's the core issue? What are big things that the foundation can do to come in and meet that problem? So whether it's introducing our new Golden Owl Award to recognize teachers, whether it's hiring a new staff program to build a retention pipeline and recruitment pipeline of teachers, some of those things that I don't like talking about the problem over and over. I like talking about solutions. And so getting to be a part of really big solutions. It inspires me to keep going. And also our students. I get to work with just the best young people in the world through FFA, and it keeps me feeling young too. And
Mhm.
just to know, man, this is working. And I'm kind of at this point in my career where I can see decisions we made 10 years ago, how that's benefited students now. And so that keeps me motivated to keep solving problems for the next generation of students.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of cycles of
Mhm.
that, and I look forward in a few years being able to say the same
Yeah,
thing of seeing
for
that
sure.
change over time.
Yeah.
Well, our second new question that we're going to be asking, still in the realm of philanthropy, but a different twist of it. So we're going to be asking guests, really just that philanthropy we know means generosity in all kinds of different forms. We talk about time,
Mhm.
talent, and treasure a lot. You hear that as a resounding theme on this podcast. And philanthropy just makes life better for others. So we're going to ask our guests, what is the most fulfilling way that they have given back in any of those formats? So why don't you get us started, Sheldon? What is that
Sure.
fulfilling philanthropy moment that you always look back to?
I was an agriculture teacher before I did this job. I'm a teacher at heart and by nature. I love teaching. And we have a professional group called Leadership Executives in Agriculture Education Development. It is a mouthful and they call it LEAD, but it is a professional group of people who are foundation directors or foundation staff from all across the country who serve FFA members. It's a network of over, I think we have 30 plus states who are connected to this group. uh, we've formalized now. It used to just be this kind of group of people who tried to have lunch at national convention, and we just loved idea sharing together. Now it is, we have bylaws, and I got to be the president of that organization the past 2 years. And as being president, they asked me to speak at several things and do some professional development. And I got to just share knowledge and use that time to help grow young professionals in fundraising. I have been grown by those people, that
Mhm.
group, that mentoring network. It is giving of your time and it's giving of your talents and helping each other grow, but it helps you also celebrate wins together. And, one of our colleagues in Oregon just had this big announcement of this huge gift that they just got that really came from a class that she and I taught together of thinking, what does a big gift, how does it transform your state? And she said, I was ready to have that conversation because of that class.
Mhm.
And that inspires me. And that has been so fulfilling to me is to get to, maybe I'm not teaching intro to ag to freshmen anymore, but I'm teaching fundraising and development skills to other people across the country. And I love that. It's helped me a lot. So,
Yeah, I was not there for the origin of that group, but I have been a recipient of it. And it is a really special group where we get to come together and share ideas, and it's quite a legacy. Yeah.
yeah, it's good. All right. So back at you, Ruth
Yeah.
Ann. Yeah. Tell us what's been most meaningful to you?
Yeah, when thinking about this question, and my mind immediately went to a priority of just my husband and I, and it's our local involvement in our community. So we live in a fairly small town, and it's not the town I grew up in. So I do not have this like special affinity towards it, but I do have a special love for a small town and community involvement. And so we've just made it a real priority to serve on local boards. I tease that my husband is on the local board for a senior living and retirement center, and you think that's really silly, um, but he learns so much about financial stewardship from that group and the people in our community and it's a nonprofit and how it serves people in that season of life well. And it is kind of maybe strange for others to be like, wow, why is a 30-year-old sitting on this board?
Mhm.
Um, he has talked me into being on our local farmers market board, and there's ways that we are young leaders in our communities, and we want to make sure like we can use our talents and keep it sustainable here because it is a place we love. We want to raise our kids here, and make it a great little town. And there's other people that do the same. We're not the only ones doing that, but one special project that we're both a part of is our little church we have a congregation of like 60 people, does this huge Thanksgiving meal. And so
Yep.
just to like tell our listeners, our church feeds like 1,700 people. We had a little over 1,700 people in our town sign up for this free Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day. And it is a true just inspiration to be a part of. We wake up at 5 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning and go make mashed potatoes, which
Yeah.
it's one small piece, but there's people there all week that are cutting turkeys, and there's high schoolers that are coming that aren't even members of church, but they believe in this mission
Yeah.
and this project of our community. It's just kind of been a pillar there for so long, and they'll deliver the meals. So it is a true community project where everyone comes together and they just pull it off and make it happen. And I think it's really cool testament for a church of or any organization of 60 people that they can pull that off. And it takes collaboration. So long answer to a short question, but community involvement is something really important to us and how we give our talents to make our community better. Yeah.
That's great. And you all do. It's fun to witness and see. And that's what we hope FFA members do is use these
Yeah.
talents of leadership that you've been given to make a difference in your home, your community, your church, your school, whatever that community looks like. So yeah. Last question. We always try to end on a fun one. We hope this one is still fun. And it is just, what is something that you can't stop talking about?
I love a fun question because we hear so many great responses from our guests. For me, and if you have been around me in the past year, I think you've probably heard me talk about this, but I started doing a clothing rental subscription. Um, I just found I hate shopping. And I'm a tall person. I'm currently pregnant. And so, like, my body is changing a lot. So, shopping is just not fun for me anymore. And I did not have time for it. And so, I started doing this clothing rental subscription through a business called Newly.
Yeah.
And I get to pick out any 6 items I want a month. And it has really just made something I did not enjoy so much in the past an easy solution for me. So I can have work clothes. Now that I'm wearing maternity clothes, I have access to all of that. And then I can send it right back and pick out new items for the next month. And it has just been a really game changer for me that I cannot stop talking about. So if you live a life where you have to wear a lot of professional clothes, or you also hate shopping, this could be a solution for you. But I
Yeah.
live newly, and that has been something I cannot stop talking about.
I love it. I'm inspired by it too. I'm always like, is this yours or is this Snooly? And it's good. And you have fresh things to wear all the time. It's great.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
my thing. What's yours?
Well, when we developed this question, you were like, I know what your answer should be. And
I
probably
do. I
anybody
don't know what
around
it's
me
gonna be.
knows what it is because I can't quit talking about it. But I got a walking pad a few months ago, and then I got the standing desk. But in the winter, I'm in well, not just in the winter, but when you're in the office a lot,
Mhm.
standing or sitting, and typing and working or talking on the phone, I get so distracted. I get so antsy. I have a hard time being still. And then you just end the day with you're like, I've only walked 3,000 or 4,000 steps. It's the worst. So the walking pad for me, it is a game changer. It's one to my attention span, to the way that I can get steps into the day. Today we're recording this. It is a snowy day outside.
Mhm.
It's really cold. I don't have to go outside to take a walk. And it's so nice. I can keep working. I tell everybody I turn it on 1.2. That's very slow. So I can type and walk. And I get over like 6,000 steps an hour, but typing and walking. And so I am an evangelist for a walking pad now. I tell anybody who works in a sedentary type job or in an office a lot, get a walking pad.
And they're really affordable now. I know they used to not
Yeah.
be. They are very affordable to get and add to your office, but
Mhm. Yes,
it
and
is a
so I
game
think
changer.
I got it on an Amazon deal for like $80. I bought the standing desk on um, Facebook Marketplace, and I still have a sitting setup. I'm not all the way standing all the time. I'm moving back and forth, but it's been great for me, and I tell everybody. And so now I gotta tell the whole world, get yourself a walking pad. If you need a recommendation, 5 stars.
And that's what we can't stop talking about,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah. Those are real things that we talk about all the time is your newly box and my walking pad. That's it. So, and I am also going to try to normalize taking Zoom meetings while walking. And I'm doing that. And people go, are you walking? And I'm like, I am.
Hey, lean into that humble confidence. There you go.
I am. You
Yeah.
should be too. You
Yeah.
all, yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast for the last year. Our listenership continues to grow. We hope that if you are a student in a classroom, that this has been a fun assignment for you guys. We hope if you're a fan of the FFA Foundation and what we do, you've seen your gifts to us in real time and the difference that they get to make, and you've been inspired by the stories we tell. I'm looking forward to another great year. What about you?
Oh, yeah, I cannot wait. We have already been brainstorming who some of our guests are going to be, and it's just going to be so good. And so I hope you stick around for 2025 and listen into those episodes as well.
Yeah. So that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us for another year of Growing Kentucky's Leaders. Growing Kentucky's Leaders is a podcast brought to you by the Kentucky FFA Foundation. Our music is performed by Bourbon County FFA member Joe Fritch. Artwork is by Julie Fritch Creative. Your hosts are Sheldon, McKinney, and Ruth and Fink, and you can find us on all social platforms at Kentucky FFA.